What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're reacting to Film Theory, Pomni is Destined to Die. Amazing Digital Circus. Now, if you haven't seen the Amazing Digital Circus, pause the video right now and go see it. The title's literally Amazing Digital Circus, so go ahead, pause this video right now so you can go ahead and see it. You done? Okay. Now, there was a previous reaction video, to this, so yeah. You can either look for that, but I think I'm gonna add the link to that in the description when I get the chance to. And or you can just go to Game Theory and Film Theory and check out the previous theory to the Amazing Digital Circus. It was pretty close to being in sync with MatPat right there. That was an interesting experience. Anyway, for all those that don't want that and all this and all that, I'm going to give a brief explanation. The Amazing Digital Circus is basically a video game world that was made like in theory around the 80s. Basically, floppy disks were around and all that, so we have a general idea. And if you know the type of model that's right here on the screen right now, then you know what time period this is around. But yeah, this was VR and all that. And yeah, your character model will be made after something, actually. That's really curious. Is it personality based or is it circus based? I don't think we ever went into a discussion about that. And no one, I think, theorized about that. I might be wrong, but I think it's a mixture of both theory and matching the theme of the Amazing Digital Circus. In theory, that is. Anyway, besides that, the Amazing Digital Circus is basically where you're transported. And if I actually had camera working, you would know I would be giving well, quote unquote. Sorry, my mind went brain fart right there, and back to this. Anyway, the Amazing Digital Circus is where your character gets put into here, but it's technically you. Basically, you're sucked into the Amazing Digital Circus. You have an avatar that's made, and basically you're trapped there until the point of insanity, which you become this freaking glitch, or you try to find an escape, which doesn't really exist, but it also does. But to the theory part of it, in theory, the Amazing Digital Circus is basically where one is trapped within the game, and there is no real way to escape. And that's, well, yeah, that's basically it. They don't remember who they are in the outside world and all that, but here it is. We get glimpses thanks to the first episode part. I hope they're going to make a series about it because it is a really good good episode / part. But anyway, putting that together, you just try to figure out everything going on, and basically they're trapped inside this world. And there is many loose theories that have some mirth, but also can contradict with other people's theories that also have some mirth and all that. Basically, in personal opinion, these people that are trapped, I feel, and I think many other YouTubers out there have agreed at one point to another that the people in this game who are trapped developed this game. And yeah, that's basically it. And now they're trapped in their own creation, not knowing what the heck they did. Because Pomni, the character we're talking about in this theory, found out something that we don't really get to see. She sees something that I don't think we're meant to see. And that's an interesting thing. But I'm getting too ahead of myself. Right now, let's start this reaction video. If you enjoy it, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provider, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button, be notified immediately when a new video comes out. If you have any videos you would like to recommend that I should react to, put it down in the comment section below, and I'll react to them as soon as possible. And finally, the link to this video will be down in the description below. So, with all this said, let's start this video.
Well, hello there. Welcome. Please come in. I know this might not be what you were expecting, but you and I, we're going to go on so many adventures. We're going to have so much fun. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that's here to show you the most jaw-dropping, heart-stopping, mind-bending theories you can imagine. In case you missed our last theory on the amazing digital circus, the long and short of it is that we believe that the circus here isn't exactly what it appears to be.
Obviously.
A futuristic, fully immersive experience, we believe that it's actually a VR video game from the 1990s.
Okay, I was 10 years off. It was the 1990s.
Copies the brains of
My bad.
Puts on the headset. It then turns that copy into a digital character to go on adventures throughout the circus. So the people trapped in this world looking for an exit, they're not actually people, just digital copies of their consciousnesses, their personalities.
Or they just transferred their consciousness into the thing and in the world.
Wearing the headset.
Sorry. Or their consciousness was transferred to the game and their brain dead in the real world. Possibility.
And our theories didn't stop there. We continued by saying that Pomni is either the creator of the game or an employee at the development studio making the game, as evidenced by her mental breakdown when seeing those work desks. And while this is the direction that I still believe the series is headed for,
How about we talk about something else?
you see, there's still a ton to dig into here with the digital circus. Well, sure, those initial theories are the ones that I think are the most likely and the most intentional. It's once to stretch a bit further out that some of the truly fun, wacky ideas really start to develop. Are they right? Yeah, probably not. Are they interesting and fun? Absolutely. And therein lies the beauty of theory crafting. For example, last time I briefly tossed out a bit of wild speculation that the digital circus may have itself some biblical connections. In this brief scene exploring the back rooms of the company who seemingly created the circus, we see the initials C and A painted onto the wall. C made me immediately connect things back to our lovable AI ringleader Kane, a guy who's probably the most in this entire situation. And if you tend to see the name Kane partnered with the initial A in any sort of pop cultural reference, the first immediate jump is going to be to the biblical story of Cain and Abel. See, Cain and Abel were the children of Adam and Eve, the first humans to ever exist in the Abrahamic religions. At the time, I wasn't really sure if this was meant to be anything or if it was going to lead anywhere, but the more I sat and thought about it, the more connections that I started to make. Some of those connections were admittedly very dumb. For example, in biblical canon, Cain kills Abel and becomes the first murderer. And what does Cain do multiple times throughout the pilot? He pops bubble for comedic effect. Ow! You parasite! Cain kills a bubble, a bull. Coincidence? Absolutely yes. It is single-handedly one of the dumbest things I've ever said in a theory, and I have said a lot of dumb things in theories. But other parallels that I found as I was doing this little brain search through the episode again were a lot more compelling. In fact, some connections were so large that I believe I may have just cracked the question of what the digital circus is wide open. You see, loyal theorists, the amazing digital circus isn't just some mere video game that's trapped these consciousnesses. No. It's something much darker. It's an eternity of torment and torture. The amazing digital circus is, quite literally, hell. Put on your headsets and get your randomly generated names, my friends. We're going in. So the claim that the digital circus is literally hell is a pretty bold one, so why would I possibly make it? Well, look at this. At the very end of the pilot, here we're shown all the human characters sitting at a table while eating food. But you notice anything weird about their dining arrangement? Of all the ways they could have set up this table, they decided to have every character on just one side, all of them facing the same direction, out at us, the audience. When this is done in fiction, it's rarely by mistake, because this right here, this is a very iconic framing device from one of the most famous paintings ever made, The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. This depicts the meal of Jesus and his followers shared before his crucifixion. It's been the backbone of conspiracy theories and Dan Brown novels for centuries. Gooseworks, creator of the series, and all the other creatives over at Glitch, they're smart people. They wouldn't be using this imagery without understanding the historical baggage that comes along with it. And it's not just the table layout that's worth calling out here. Look at Pomni in the center, the exact position that Jesus is in for the painting. And notice the colors of Pomni, red and blue. Wouldn't it be weird if, oh wait, never mind, Jesus is also dressed in red and blue. The interpretation of his colors is that the blue represents the divine half of God, heaven, and his red represents the blood, mankind. So in Jesus, you have the mixing of these two elements, a God born among men and set to live as a human, red plus blue. And in Pomni, we actually have something similar, at least if our earlier theories were correct. A creator of this game, a god of this world, if you will, now set to live as a part of their own creation.
Yeah, that seems pretty effed up.
Quite the contrary. We know for a fact that God exists in the circus in some form or another. During the first adventure that Cain sets up for Pomni, the Gloink Queen says this:
I am Gloinks. You will be Gloinks. God will be Gloinks.
What an oddly specific thing to say. Speaking of making oddly specific references that we can build off, let's talk about abstraction. According to the show, when you obsess over being trapped in the circus and drive yourself crazy looking for a way out,
eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
This is known as abstraction, and we see the results of it when we meet Kaufmo the Clown, or at least what's left of him.
Oh, Kaufmo's been abstracted.
Last time, I wasn't really sure if we had enough to really make a judgment over what was happening here, but I did find some more information when digging through the creator Gooseworks' Tumblr. According to her, abstracting isn't just going crazy and becoming a big scary monster. It's definitely part of it for sure, but there is a deeper meaning. According to Gooseworks, when you abstract, you lose everything about yourself. You're stripped of every single scrap of individuality that you become something unrecognizable. All abstracted people look the same, this glitchy four-legged monster covered in eyeballs. And perhaps most importantly, abstraction cannot be undone. Now, looking back over the series with this new lens of religious imagery, the abstracted start resembling something else, something beyond just monsters. They almost look like angels. Well, not really angels, but biblically accurate angels, which, ironically enough, doesn't really come from the Bible.
What?
Let me explain, it's kind of confusing. 3 years ago, a meme started spreading across the internet featuring these monstrous multi-eyed creations. They were called biblically accurate angels. Now, you might look at these things and go, really? They don't exactly look like the traditional image of an angel with robes and wings and halos and all that. But what we're riffing on here is a very specific part of the Bible. A few chapters in the book of Ezekiel where he describes having visions of winged creatures with 4 faces, some human, some animal, and these creatures were joined by wheels within wheels with eyes. Here's a version of the quote. I looked, and I saw beside the cherubim 4 wheels, one beside each of the cherubim. Their entire bodies, including their backs, their hands, and their wings, were completely full full of eyes, as were their 4 wheels. Now, for the sake of clarity, the wheels with eyes, or ophonym, both are and aren't considered angels depending on what documents you're using and how you're classifying things. And again, all of this is based on a few very short lines in a very long, very ancient religious tradition, but that's neither here nor there.
Alright.
These religious entities are always described as having an abnormal number of eyes all over their bodies, just like the abstracted that we're seeing in Digital Circus. The weird descriptions even fit with the name abstraction. These so-called biblically accurate angels are weird, almost completely unrecognizable to humans because we can't comprehend what we're witnessing. They're unknowable. In other words, they're abstract. Now, while it's never made clear why these
Okay.
have so many eyes, one persistent idea is that the design represents God's watchful eye over us. They're always watching us because God knows all. He sees all. Look again at the Digital Circus. There's a ton of eyeball imagery here, all throughout this first episode. Eyes are hidden in the intro, they're hidden in paintings, they're hidden in the background. Kane even admits that he wants all the cast to stay in the circus,
Where I can keep my hundreds of all-seeing eyes on you.
Kane, and
Yeah.
everything. God,
That sets red flags.
made of basically a mouth and 2 big ol' eyes. Oh, and looking at Kane's dialogue through this more religious lens makes this line hit a whole lot different.
Do you like adventure, activity, wonder, danger, horror, pain, suffering, agony, death, disease, death, angel food cake?
Ow! Not only does suffering, agony, and death all sound very hellish, but why angel food cake? Like, why call out that specific type of cake here? Again, we have ourselves a weird connection to angels and religion that comes seemingly out of nowhere. But the most compelling reason for why we can draw parallels between this series and all these religious ideas has to be the way that the creator Gooseworks talks about the Digital Circus. When asked if anyone should be killed, Gooseworks answered that it depends on your definition of kill, which is likely pointing to the idea of abstraction. But it's interesting that she makes this distinction. It means that none of these characters can die, so to speak. They're trapped in here forever in eternal torment, just like hell. Gooseworks also talks about how characters deserve to be there, specifically as the one who deserves to be there the most. Using the phrase deserves to be there, it shows that the circus is some place of judgment. It's either a reward for those who are good or a punishment for those who are evil. And considering Gooseworks has a lot of negative things to say about Jax, this ain't your reward day at the spa. Time and time again, Gooseworks has gone on the record to say how awful Jax is. According to Gooseworks, Jax is morally the worst character in the show, so much so that when asked if he was more of a jerk or an anti-hero, she explained that, quote, "There's absolutely nothing heroic about Jax." Those are some pretty strong words for a character that you yourself created.
Damn.
Another fan commented that they hoped Jax was gonna get worse. Gooseworks said, "You're probably gonna enjoy some of the things we have planned." And already the behavior that we've seen from him throughout the series is pretty awful. He's mean, he trips people, he knocks them over, he steps on one of Gangle's masks without caring. He knows that Ragatha's deepest fear is centipedes, and he uses that information to torture her.
By the way, I may have left something in your room today, so let me know if you find it. You're not afraid of centipedes, are you?
Jax! That's literally my only fear. Why would you do this?
Jax is clearly not a good person. So if Gooseworks is saying that he deserves to be in the circus more than most, then it clearly implies that we're trapped in hell. But just because they're in hell doesn't necessarily mean it has to be your typical fire and brimstone hell. Case in point, one of the most influential depictions of hell comes from a play by French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, known as Huis Clos, or translated into English, No Exit. In it, 3 people condemned to hell are brought into the same room and locked inside.
Okay.
But in the chamber, they just find a comfortably furnished room. Not exactly what you'd expect, right? But as these 3 start talking and getting to know each other, they realize they don't click. They annoy each other. They push each other's buttons and they twist the knife until one of them realizes this is the torture. A famous line from the play reads, "Hell is other people." That's what we see here in the Digital Circus. It's
that's actually...
don't necessarily click with one another.
Damn.
No matter how polite they are, they all still push each other's buttons. They exploit each other's fears and fake laugh at each other's jokes. But the worst part of all, there's no exit. Trapped in a digital room with no escape. But now to the big question. What's the point? It's all interesting for sure, but why bring up all these parallels? Well, if we can point to all these religious ideas to show what the Digital Circus is and how they're going to be using it in the story, we can also use them to point to where the story is headed. Specifically, I believe that we can use the religious imagery to get a pretty good idea of what Pomni's story arc is going to be. You see, Pomni is Digital Circus's parallel to Jesus Christ. I know that sounds insane.
It
Crazy enough
does.
for one of those Matt out of context compilations that I see floating around. background, but the connections are there when you actually stop and look at them. I mean, think back to what I pointed out earlier about the Last Supper scene. Pomni is framed as the one in the center, exactly where Jesus is sitting in the painting. Her color scheme matches Jesus's. His robes are split between two colors, red and blue, just like Pomni's jester outfit. Additionally, we have to consider Pomni's hand. About halfway through the episode, when the abstracted Kaufmo attacks Ragatha and makes her glitch, Pomni tries to help her and gets her hand glitched in the process. This plotline is actually left unresolved at the end of the episode, with Cain fixing Ragatha, but not Pomni, who keeps the glitching hand a secret. In Christianity, wounds or scars on your hand like this usually reference a very specific thing, stigmata. These are representative of the wounds that Jesus got when he was being hammered onto the cross, usually depicted as scars on your hands. Another connection to Pomni. And if our previous theory is correct and Pomni's human persona is an employee of the company behind the digital circus, well, she's the developer of this game. That would make her the creator. And just like Jesus is an aspect of God in many sects of Christianity, that would make Pomni an aspect of a god or creator of this world. Heck, her arc in the very first episode, forgetting who she is so that the information can be dramatically revealed to her later on, it even follows what Jesus went through in biblical texts, beginning life as a human before having to discover for himself that he is in fact the Son of God, discovering his purpose to save humanity from themselves. This is why I think we have to care about all this, why we started looking at all these religious parallels in the first place. If the digital circus is indeed designed to be hell, and everyone here is condemned to be there in some way, and Pomni suddenly comes in as a representative of Jesus, well, she's there to save them, to help the other cast members escape from this torment that they found themselves in Pomni's creation. But in the cruelest twist of fate, saving them is gonna doom Pomni. If I was a betting man, I'd say that Pomni will be the only one left in the digital circus after she's helped all the others to escape. Just like Jesus sacrificed himself for humanity, Pomni is gonna do the same thing here. She's gonna get left behind, forever tortured by this wacky AI going on his silly adventures. But it'll have been worth it because she'll manage to save everyone else. But hey, though the cast of the amazing digital circus might be being burned by their experience on the computer, you don't have to be, thanks to our sponsor for today's video, Opera. Ever since Opera first approached us, I'm really impressed with how much they've packed into their browser.
No, they... Okay, they're talking about Opera GX, if I'm correct.
And downloading the Opera browser today. Thanks again to Opera for sponsoring today's video, and as always, my friends, remember, it's all just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Alright. Well, that is a thing. And yeah. So, this is something to think on about. Is this going to be true? The possibility is there, I will admit that. But I don't think it will be the case. No, it's just something about this that doesn't seem fully real. Or gonna be the real case. Like, I can't admit that some of this stuff probably is true. Like the whole eye thing. How this is technically something that is supposed to be like this big game idea and all that. But it can be someone's literal HELL hockey stick. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be exactly like it. Like Pomni's death? Well, that does seem like a possibility, it also really doesn't. I don't know, it's just something about this that doesn't really make sense. Well, of course, it does make it sound like they put Jax. I think that's... yeah. Jax is, like, deserving to be there. It might not be the way we're thinking. For example, he might just be someone that they decided to throw in there because, hey, this guy's a literal a-hole. If we just do whatever we want with him, just to get this game up and going, no one's gonna miss this guy because, well, look at him. Look at his background. No one's gonna care. And I think that might be the case. When thinking about this, I think that everyone in the Amazing Digital Circus is like this case scenario. People that well, one wouldn't exactly care for, and bam, they were just put in here because no one would care to look for them. No one would care to see if something was wrong. And no one would really, well, anything in the matter involving these people. Either they have a big flaw involving them, or they have some trait that some people that feel like unfavorable, unlikable, something like that. And that's the thing. It's really seems like it's going that path. But I don't know if that's going to be a for sure thing or not. But if Pomni is that, then how is she deserving of this? Because from what it sounds like, every character there is there for a deserving reason. I guess Pomni's would be that she unintentionally probably made everyone in the Amazing Digital Circus get into the game. Like, she helped with this, like, torture. Maybe. Or she unintentionally did it, and when she found out, she got stuck in there for poking her nose in something that she isn't supposed to do. At least that's what I'm thinking when it comes to this. I might be wrong, but I like to think I'm on the right track. I can't say for sure without more evidence and all that. So, yeah. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button. Be notified immediately when your video comes out. Tell me what you think about the Amazing Digital Circus. What is your theory of what's going on? I would really like to hear it in the comment section below. And finally, again, the link to this video will be down in the description below. So if you want to see this video yourself, go ahead and look there. If you want to share the theory with other people, then go ahead and do that. Other than that, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!